Ladies and gentlemen, they are ready. Until now we have had individual speakers, now we have a collective character. Please welcome on stage Teddy Dumitrescu, CEO and partner Publicis Group, and Attila Lonkay, Global Digital Director Sapient. Hi Teddy, CEO Attila.
You're on too.
I'm on too?
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Like...
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are very pleased to be here. As you heard earlier, my name is Teddy Dumitrescu. I'm the CEO of Publicis Group in Romania, which means the agency part of the group, which is collecting under one roof everything from creative to media to digital, experiential, production, so on and so forth. And of course, AI has a big impact on our business as well. So on one hand, I was very, very happy to be here on stage and tell you how we see the things from the agency perspective. On the other hand, I was like, wow, look at the lineup of speakers. There are so many, so bright, clever people speaking in those panels. I'm going to make a fool out of myself by stepping here on stage today, because obviously the agency is not always at the front row of the development of the new things, especially the big agencies, because we have legacy systems, legacy methods, legacy clients who are not always the first ones to adopt the new trends. But nevertheless, I said, okay, I will not going to make a fool of myself on stage, because I'm going to bring an expert from Publicis Group, and this is why I invited to Bucharest my friend Attila Lonkay, who is part of the global team of Publicis Group. Thank you, Attila, for being here with us.
Thank you, Teddy. I love AI events because I can talk about fine art, I can talk about disruption, I can talk about many things, and a little bit of that will be AI too. But first with this quote. When I'm running trainings, or is it okay, or it's a terrible echo? No, terrible echo. Okay, that's great. So when I'm running trainings or courses, people often giving me impossible challenges with AI. This was one of them. Most of the people believe that it's impossible or very hard to generate an image of the same person on Midjourney. And look at that. With a little bit of luck, and if you understand the language of those monsters, this is what you can build. Obviously, this is not the same person, but it looks like the same person. You can hack the system. And most importantly, what was impossible a week ago most probably will be possible in a week. So when we're talking about AIs, this is my most important message. You really have to be with the rebels, or you have to be the rebel, and definitely not the army. When we're talking about understanding how AI works, how artificial intelligence is using a different language, it's not English. It's their own language. Understanding is all about being a rebel, not following other people, not following advices. Try, experiment, go there and find your stuff. And when you have to execute, you will have to be with the army. So understanding is being rebel, executing is being with the army. And there is one very good analogy, and I told you I will talk about fine art. This is about fine art. These guys, approximately 80% of their revenue came from portrait painting. Throughout these thousands of years, painters generated their money painting boring portraits, day after day, every day. Same old, can I say it? Same old? Yeah. Same old shit every day. So this is what they did, and the human insight behind that was that the rich and the powerful, they wanted to hang pictures on the wall of their best self, of their biggest achievement. Every single one of them wanted to pay for a painter to have that on the wall. And this business model was disrupted by this. And this one was a gigantic disruption. Imagine these poor guys for thousands of years grabbing money. And yes, some of the money went back to innovation, perspective, new paints, new this, new that. But this disrupted everything immediately. It disrupted portrait painting because this was built on the same human insight. People want their memories hang on the wall. And when we're talking about the painters, they didn't go bankrupt. The smarter ones actually started to reinnovate themselves. They started to find new ways, new ideas. They actually reimagined how they memorializing everything. And that was a breakthrough for them because, again, they were there with empty pocket. No money coming from portrait painting anymore. And talking about the real disruption, memorializing from after this moment was for everyone. And when I say everyone, it was really for everyone, even for these guys somewhere in the wild, wild west. By the way, every single image in this presentation was generated with AI, but I guess you found that out already. So when we're talking about photography and portrait painting, this actually disrupted artistic repetition. So what they did every day, boring stuff, it was disrupted by one click. There's actually several hidden Easter eggs on this image. Some of you may realize it. As we have limited time.
Yeah, I see Hulk over there.
Yeah, it's Hulk there. And it's funny that when you only see this one, you won't realize that these guys are sitting there. Anyway, so photography disrupted artistic repetition. AI is disrupting cognitive repetition. Many people are talking wrongly, I believe, about AI is the next industrial revolution. No, it's not. AI is actually the next cognitive revolution. And from that sense, this will be the first one. Because this is disrupting what's happening on the picture. This is disrupting what's going on here, not what's going on here. And this is the scary stuff. But I'm not a doomsday AI guy, so let's talk about the other part. And for this, I actually prepared a video for you.
Imagine a world where every piece of advertising you see is tailored perfectly to you. Sounds intriguing, doesn't it? Today's advertising landscape is a vibrant tapestry woven from threads of creativity and strands of data. It's where the imaginative minds of creatives birth compelling campaigns and data-crunching machines map out the terrain for these campaigns to navigate. It's an art, it's a science, it's a dance between the two. Advertising today is a blend of art and science, but what if we could take it a step further? Now picture a world where advertising is not just tailored, but intuitively understands your needs before you even do. This is the potential of artificial intelligence in advertising. Imagine AI rapidly analyzing vast amounts of data, unearthing deep insights about consumers, their preferences, behavior, and needs. These insights can then be harnessed to create advertising that is not just personalized, but uncannily relevant and effective. Moreover, AI can automate and optimize many aspects of the advertising process, from media buying to campaign analytics. This doesn't mean the end of creativity in advertising, far from it. Instead, it frees creatives from repetitive and mundane tasks, allowing them to focus on what they do best, crafting compelling narratives and stunning visuals that truly connect with consumers. So the future of advertising with AI isn't a bleak, impersonal landscape. It's a world where technology and creativity intertwine to create advertising that is not just personalized, it's predictive. But here's the twist. This entire video, every word spoken, every point made, was crafted not by a human, but by an artificial intelligence. Yes, you heard right. AI isn't just the far-off future of advertising, it's the pulsating creative present. It's already here, generating content, sifting through data, optimizing campaigns. So my dear creatives, don't fear the AI revolution, embrace it, harness it. I am an AI, every word, every image, this entire video was done by me. Welcome to the future of advertising.
So you could wonder, why on earth this guy is showing this shit video? It's not amazing, it's not perfect, it's not as good as any agency would do. We all know that AI can produce images, AI can produce videos. The only reason I'm showing this video for you is because of that. I've made this video in 2.5 minutes, including writing the prompt. This is what it took. And I didn't work on this video. I didn't pick the scenes. I didn't pick the voiceover. Actually, I did pick the voiceover. It was part of my prompt. Use a male, old, husky British voice. But that was just a prompt, a single line, a small paragraph. And it actually rendered this video in 2.5 minutes. And we are in this industry. I was born and raised at Sarchis. This is my 30th year. I started as a creative. Can you imagine how scared I was? And I'm still quite scared. But instead of talking the talk like many people do, and walking the walk. So in the last 1.5 years, I start every morning of mine with 1 hour dedicated to one platform. Every single morning, including Saturday, Sunday, I sit down, I pick a platform, like this I did, and then I start to play with it, because that's the only way to understand this monster. You can't understand this monster from books. Obviously, you will need books to understand the logic, but playing with it, working with it, sometimes fell in love with it, you need that. And after that, you can hate it too.
The other little trick that Attila played on that one, he said, okay, and everybody knows that whatever is generated with AI, it's a problem, you can't use it, you cannot upload it to a platform, so how am I going to tackle that? And on the previous slide, you see, he says copyright. He asked the platform to have assisted and managed copyright for voiceover, music, and all images for a certain territory, which in this case, Attila said it for Central and Eastern Europe, which means the whole video came out in such a way it can be directly uploaded on YouTube or any other platform without any copyright risks.
Well, you didn't make it any better for advertising agencies, that's for sure. So it's there, it's disrupting us. And when we're talking about disruption, I'm normally using Singularity University's disruption model. Most probably many of you know this model. What you see here, the challenger brand is coming up, and there's the existing brand here. And again, many people wrongly would say that, okay, that's the disruption point. But when you think about that, photography, portrait painting went wrong at the red dot. Portrait painting was actually challenged here. When photography became scalable, when photography was blurry, when making a picture took 40 minutes, sitting there, doing this. But again, at that point, photography completely disrupted portrait painting because it made it accessible to everyone. So when we're talking about disruption, the big question is, where is artificial intelligence today? And even the question here is wrong, because I believe there is no one AI. And I'm not talking about generative AI, I'm talking about AI in general. And to make this a little bit more clear, the way I designed this, again, disruption model, on the top what you see where AI has complete and absolute solution dominance, even today. Where AI is much better than us, where in those industries, there is no way that humans can compete with AIs. In between, these are the upcomers. They already have a strong business model, and they will disrupt something. And in the bottom, those who can do something. I believe video creation, for example, is only here, which can bring a huge disruption. The most interesting thing, because when I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about the last 60 years, and thank you for mentioning that last 60 years. I'm talking about expert system from '82. This is where AI born, and this is how old artificial intelligence is. So when you think about AI, think about those guys who were sitting there designing models for 50 years to get us to the moment when we can change our vacuum cleaner to an iRobot. But even when we're talking about iRobot, this is like 21 years old. And 21 years ago, there was a fully functioning artificial intelligence built into those little creatures. So, going back to that, because still something is happening, it's quite obvious, vacuum cleaners wouldn't start a cognitive revolution. That would be industrial revolution. Generative AI and artificial intelligence behind generative AIs is actually doing this cognitive revolution. And this is where it's getting interesting.
Yeah. It's getting interesting, especially because when I saw the first time the presentation of Attila, I had an aha moment. I had an aha moment because me, myself, I'm a graduate architect. So when I was doing the architecture school, which was in the late 80s and early 90s, everything in architecture was being done manually, by hand. We started by doing our own drawings. First of all, learning how to draw by hand, then how to do all the very neat planches and blueprints and so on and so forth. We even learned how to replicate geometrically on paper the old Greek architecture like the columns and so on and so forth. It was before the time of AutoCAD in architecture. The computerized architecture changed a lot, the things. But let's look, for the sake of this example, where this can go even further.
So when I'm designing case studies, obviously I can't show you other clients' case studies, that for obvious reasons. And I don't want to design an advertising agency case study for other obvious reasons. I'm not smart enough to design you a pharma case study, but I never, ever went close to architect design and architecture. I wanted to play with it. So I designed this one, and so I need you for this. Imagine you own this house in the countryside. You're not really using it because it's in a terrible shape. But you want to make some money from Airbnb, or you want to make some money from Booking, and so you start thinking, what the hell I can do with this house? Normally, you would go to an architect firm, and you would start spending money to see some inspirational stuff. And again, I didn't spend more than 20 minutes on this case study, so this can be done quite fast and quite efficient. I just added my favorite architect to the same picture, and I asked the AI to make this better for me, because I can't imagine I want to see how different architects would imagine my good old countryside house. Again, 20 minutes, and actually I disrupted bits and pieces of how architect firms are actually making money out of inspiration. But that's only step one. Inspiration is important. I'm the client. Now I know what to do. Now switch the side and imagine that you work on this, in this industry at this architect firm. You're a smart guy, and you go to your boss saying that, look, we have approximately 50 years of blueprints standing somewhere. We don't even know, but we have to find it. We have it. And what if we start training a model which can connect the inspirational piece with all these blueprints? That's already good, because that's making what we do more scalable. But imagine this firm where the CEO reaches out to the legal director, to the operational lead, and briefing them that what if we start teaching another model on the bureaucratic background. All the paperwork we have from the last 50 years, every single city, every single town, every single district has slightly different laws, rules. But if we start connecting those dots, if we start connecting those models, then we will arrive to the infinitely scalable architecture disruption. Our firm will be the biggest firm, the fastest. Like this, in 20 minutes. So when we're talking about that, this is our way of survival, and this is the way how architect firms could survive. The question you have to ask from yourself every time, every day when you work on your product is, how can you translate, how can you turn your products into solutions? Imagine the world in 2 years when every single person will have, I don't have my phone, will have a phone with a search bar. Instead of a search bar, it will be an AI bar, and they can ask anything and everything. AI will immediately offer solutions for every single potential problem, question you have in your life. For your company, the only way out is to actually translate your products into solutions, because that will make them visible in every AI bar on every phone. For that, you have to translate your data into solutions. If your data is just sitting somewhere, quite dusty from the last 50 years, then you're in trouble. Then hire someone who will actually find that data for you, because then, if you have your product, almost at solutions, your data helping your product, then you can turn all your knowledge into solutions, and then you will become infinitely scalable. This is what we try to do. This is where we try to help, because this transformation, and I'm not just talking about the business transformation, will be much bigger, much faster, much harder than digital was. AI transformation is scarier, because this is transforming everything we do at the same time, the whole. There are no bits and pieces which will be safe. Not even the receptionist. Receptionists will work differently with AI. We will work differently with AI because our brain is disrupted. So when we're talking about what's the way out is actually thinking about transformation as a whole. Because AI is not just a smart assistant, and not any of those on the screen. AI is much bigger than that. It's a big, holistic entity as a whole. The way out, again, on top of solutionizing everything we do, if you start thinking about how can I transform the way I think, the way I will think, the way I work, the way I measure, and the way I optimize every single step previously mentioned. And round and round and round and round, try to optimize and transform everything you do around AI, with the help of AI, most probably. What I'm more than happy to talk about, but Teddy.
Yeah, no, I just want to say something that marketing and advertising were invented a very, very long time ago. And while we are all arguing that things have changed so much, in reality, some of the basic processes have never changed. And this is the linear process of the way of working for a campaign, for a project, for whatever you want to call it, which is still happening in 99% of the cases in the communication companies.
So obviously, I don't want to talk about client-side processes, because who am I for that? But I can criticize ourselves. And when my father asked me that, he's from finance, so he believed that in advertising there is no future, and what the hell I'm doing in advertising, it means nothing. I'm not making anyone's life better. But at some point, he actually got interested that I'm in a global role, this company is 96,000 people, blah, 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 blah. And he asked me about that. Okay, tell me the basics, tell me your processes. And so I told him that we receive a client brief, then the planners work on that. We hope the planning magic will work, and they can translate this into the creative brief. And then we wait again for the creative magic to happen, to show it, hope that someone will buy this, and then we hope for production that it will be perfect. And already, I mentioned hope 3 times, hope and magic. And I'm not talking against magic. Again, I started as a creative. I love magic. Creative magic is everything. Hope, however, and risk is terrible. Second, we use this linear process for 80 years in advertising. 80 years. Tell me one industry which is using the same processes for 80 years. I guess you can't name a single one of them. So the big question that what's going to happen with this? And most probably side question for you, what's going to happen with your processes? My guess that your processes and our processes will enter into infinite iterations. Because when you think about what AI is capable of versus us, another analogy, in pharmacy and in healthcare, we actually focused on the simple, very hard to solve problems in the last 80 years. Not the super complex, very hard to solve problems. And the reason why in the last 2-3 years we are solving extremely complex pharma problems, because we started to use AIs. They actually reiterate every single potential part of every single problem. And with that, we can start finally working on extremely complex problems. Weirdly, I believe advertising is very similar to that. And every single step is extremely complex. Otherwise, you're losing magic. So what you can do and we can do, we can start thinking, what if, in the planning phase, I will start involving every single person who will be involved throughout this process? What if I will brief an AI at the very beginning to run 300 rounds for me? What if the creative starts working with an AI on 400 conceptual ideas at this stage instead of 4 or 5? This is how our processes will be future-proof, and this is how we are actually planning and what we are working on to make ourselves future-proof. Obviously, we can't do this without transformation on both sides. So when we're talking about what you can do this. You can start thinking about how can I repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat every single sub-step of every single process to get better results, to reduce the hope, to reduce the risk, This can be a competitive advantage with AI in the coming years. And this is almost the last slide of me. This is the most important, because in the last 10 years, there was not a single presentation, either from us or from any other company who's not talking about that. Now with digital, we can connect everything. When you're sitting there, just think about that. Did we really do that? Or we were just, again, amazing talking about how connected we are. We were not connected. With AI, there is no way that you will be not connected. If you will not be connected, there will be your competitor who's actually connecting the dots already. There will be another agency where at the very beginning of the project, there will be a media planner, a creative planner, a production planner, starts working on every single step. How can we be hyper-connected for this iterative process I mentioned? The last one. Without this, we're dead. Without this, every single communication piece will be dead. AIs will not kill ideas. With AIs, it's like search optimization. You can start optimized shit out of a very bad idea, and that will be visible for everyone, because they will see it in search. Or you can start working on properly optimizing great ideas to make it visible for everyone. That's why there is no way we can lose ideas. And this is actually an illustration of something else someone told me, that typography is impossible with Midjourney. I think it's not. Actually, I believe I've made quite a good job with that. Teddy.
That's it. Thank you very much.